Hey guys, Sherwin D'Souza here. Check out what's on eBay. Mention my name when you buy something. Link in the description below. Check out my YouTube about page and my playlist. Discovering Sherwin on YouTube. Discovering Sherwin on YouTube. Check out the links down below. Alright, so this is part 4, chapter 1. Murder She Wrote, a Slaying in Savannah. Alright, let's continue. For once, I agree with the sheriff, Seth said. There's a chance they'll be disappointed anyway if you can't solve the murder. Not that I don't have complete confidence that you can, but they would certainly understand if you declined such a ridiculous assignment. You're a writer, Jessica, not a private detective. Crackpots like that lady are a dime a dozen in New York City. Moore said, did I ever tell you about the guy who left a fortune to his cat? To his cat. In Park Avenue apartments, limo, the whole works. Is crackpot a technical term they use in New York? Seth asked. And stand somewhere else, please. You're blocking my light. Mort moved to the side. She was a little eccentric. I'll admit, I said, contemplating the chessman. Pixelated is the word Charlemagne used. Who's Charlemagne, Mr. F? Mort asked. Charlemagne O'Neill, an old friend of Tilly's. They knew each other as girls. She worked with us when we set up the literacy program. Her family is nearly as venerable as Tilly's. The O'Neills were in Savannah before the Civil War. The Mortallings, I believe, arrived even earlier than that, sometime in the late 18th or early 19th century. A lot of oddballs in those old families, Mort said. When I was on the force in New York, some of the craziest crazies came from society families. I remember a guy, filthy rich, who used to walk around in a cape, singing opera on the street corners. Wasn't looking for a handout, just attention. Come, comes from too much money and not enough responsibility, said flatly. Maureen bought me a book about people and their crazy wills, Moore said. There was this guy who drank a lot. His wife always on his back about it. When he died, he said his will said she'd only get his money if she had a drink every night at the local saloon with his buddies. Idiot, Seth snarled. And there was this crazy rich old German lady who left something like 80 million bucks to her dog. What the heck? Oh, and there's that Liana Helmsley down in New York, who left her dog 12 mil. People do weird things with their money when they die. I prefer the term insane rather than weird, Seth pronounced. Charlemagne told me that Tilly was always a bit off her words even before started drinking. I said Tilly was a young woman when prohibition was repealed, and afterward her odd behavior was attributed to overindulgence with a bottle. But I have to say that in that time We worked together. I never saw her inebriated, at least as far as I knew. Check. With some people, you can't tell when they're drunk without looking in there. Wait a minute, did you say check? Ha! She got you good, Doc. See you, King, I said. I have him boxed in. How did you do that? I did very little. You moved your knight into a vulnerable position. I just took advantage. Well, I must have been distracted by your tales of a particular old lady and the outlandish provisions of her will, Seth said, frowning down on the board. And Sheriff, your peering over my shoulder did not help my concentration. Mort raised his hands in surrender. I'm just an innocent bystander. I find the provisions of Tilly's will just as distracting. I said, marking my win on a pad we used to keep track of our game. But I didn't let that deter my attention from the board. Wait a minute, you didn't win the game if you're only in check. Yeah, it needs checkmate. Anyway, let's go back to reading the story. Um, Seth harumphed. What does that make it? He asked, reaching for a homemade butter cookie. 2 games to 1, my favorite. Oh man, that's gonna really bother me about this. Minor detail. I held up the cookie plate for Mort to take one. You owe me another game then, said. Have to let me catch up. I'll be delighted to accommodate you, but not tonight. This lady has to pack in the morning. I gathered up the chess pieces and started putting them away. I better get home, Mort said, looking at his watch. Maureen will be back soon from her class. Maroon, a big-hearted redhead, was an enthusiastic cook who embraced each food trend as it came along. Fortunately for her future guest, she was dedicated to improving her skills. She'd come into Mort's life at a particularly low period for him. After his wife, Adele, decided to bring lights of the big city were preferable to country life and took off. Maroon adored her husband and took on community activities in Cabot Cove with the same energy that she devoted to her culinary endeavors. Let me give you some cookies for her, I said. Don't bother, Miss F. She's on another diet. He has me on it too. Not that I don't cheat every now and then. He held up half a cookie. These are delicious. Thank you. Seth cleared his throat. I offered him another cookie and asked, You were just saying you can't always tell if someone is drunk without looking into something. What's that? What is that? Their eyes, he replied. It's called alcohol gaze nagamosis. AGN for short, Mort added. And what exactly is that? Alcohol depresses the central nervous system and affects fine motor coordination, including the movement of the eyes, that said. Alright, remember to like and subscribe. Okay, maybe I could have stopped a little bit earlier. Who knows? Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.